Welcome to the channel. As I've written in the About section, despite the name Encyclopedia of Environmental Ethics, the short video series I will be posting will offer a very limited discussion of the full extent of environmental ethics. But I hope it serves as a solid introduction to get you thinking about your relationship to the environment and what it might mean for how you live your life. So what is environmental ethics? Environmental ethics is a field of study dedicated to determining the best ways to live and act in the world as it relates to environmental or ecological concerns. The environment in this context is often understood broadly, as topics in environmental ethics can range from the climate and climate change, treatment and value of natural environments, human impact on the world, treatment of non-human animals, and the treatment of plants. Other than their relationship to the environment, what makes these topics relevant to an environmental ethics is that they each explore what obligations humans may or may not have to act or think a certain way in each circumstance. Ethics is relevant in every circumstance where a person acts and enacts influence in the world. It questions what we should or ought to do, how we should behave, and why. It also questions what factors should be relevant when developing an ethic, which is a moral code of sorts that guides how we make sense of right and wrong. Is an action good or bad because of its intent or its consequences? Can we make judgments about someone's moral character if their actions resulted in consequences that they did not or could not consider? Who or what should be considered a moral actor? To what degree? Your answers to these questions will shape what you believe it means to act morally or immorally, rightly or wrongly, and if you care about doing the right thing, your actions will presumably follow suit out of a moral obligation. When considering an ethic proposed by someone else, it is not always clear what questions they are responding to and how, nor are their actions always consistent across contexts. Another ethical task is then determining what background assumptions people make about what things have value and why, and what other factors are influencing their decision-making. Environmental ethics applies these questions, among others, to our obligations toward the environment. Is it bad to pollute? Why should we value the environment in the first place? Is it because of some inherent value, or because it has value for our purposes? Are non-human animals moral beings? Are plants? Whose ecological knowledge is informing our background assumptions? In the next few videos, I'll be explaining a small number of the main themes, concepts, and arguments that have arisen in environmental ethics over the past few decades, while trying to avoid overusing specific terminology. In this context, I think it's more important to understand the concepts rather than what they're called. While far from comprehensive, I hope that my chosen topics spark your interest, offer new perspectives, and inspire you to apply lessons from environmental ethics in your own life. As you watch, keep in mind these questions and consider what other questions might be relevant. Do you agree with the answers given? Ultimately, my aim is to encourage you to more carefully consider how you act and how you should act in the world, and to what end. If no ethic I present adequately answers your questions, I also encourage you to construct your own with these videos as a guide. If you check the description of each video, you will see the sources I consulted, news connections to better ground each discussion in our everyday lives, and further reading to keep you thinking. Adhering to an environmental ethic can be daunting and difficult. As we'll see in the last video, the thought that it may not make a difference anyway can be one of the main reasons people never try in the first place. Cards on the table, I think it's always worth trying.